So we'll get to them. Now, the restricted free agents thing is interesting. And this is where Keon Ellis comes in. And I guess this is where we'll just crack the conversation open. Because Keon Ellis is currently under contract.
Yes.
But he could become a restricted free agent this year.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Okay, so it's a little complicated, but basically they have two different ways that they can attack the Keon Ellis situation. Number one, they can pick up his $2.3 million option for next year, and he's their player, right?
Okay.
But at the end of next season, so next summer, not this summer,
2026,
he will be an unrestricted free agent and can sign with anyone else in the NBA, and you can't do anything about it.
Right.
Now, what you can do is you can pick up that option, the $2.3 million option, and you can instantly start working on an extension for him. Right. And the extension can be for up to, I think, something crazy, like up to $89 million. Right. So like the extension after this season can be huge. But the idea would be that if you're going to pick up the option year, it's so you might be able to finagle and bring in a couple more players right now. Right. And then have Keon get paid the next offseason. When again, the salary cap keeps jumping 10% every year right now because of new television deal, right? So right now the salary cap is going from 155 million, I think, to 170. The next year it's going to go up to like 187 or 189. And then after that, it's going to, just the basic salary cap will go well over 200 million a year. The luxury tax is way above that, right? So the deal, the other option that you have with Keon is that you can decline the option right now, and he becomes a restricted free agent this summer, which means he can go out and you can work a contract with him and just sign him, or he can go out on the open market and see what people are willing to pay him, and then the Kings would have right of first refusal. So what they have to do is they have to give a qualifying offer, and the qualifying offer for Keon Ellis is going to be like right around his salary, like 2.3, 2 point, maybe it's 3.4 million or something. It's like super minimal. And what that does is it basically gives you the option to match any offer sheet for him. We could talk about sign and trades and stuff like that, but realistically,
let's skip the sign and trade aspect of this.
Yeah, realistically, you have two options with Keon. You can pick up his option and make him an unrestricted free agent next summer, or you can not pick up his option. I mean, or
so the risk of declining his option this year.
Yep.
Because if you pick it up, he's on the team this year, but he may not be on the team next year, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but you do have the option to try to work an extension the entire time.
Right. So the benefit of declining the option and making him a restricted free agent this year is that when he goes to the market, you get an idea of what his market would be.
Yep.
And that gives you a place to negotiate from. But B, you avoid kicking the can down the road on this to next year, and you just lock up a player who looks to be a key rotational piece for you at 25 years old.
Yeah, you
can just get that out of the way now.
Exactly. You avoid the potential for losing him, the unrestricted free agent status. And you can assign whatever contract you want, realistically. Like, I'm going to say, so the mid-level exception this year is all the way up to $14.1 million. I don't know that Keon is going to get the full mid-level from somebody, but there's an opportunity there for him to get, because what the mid-level does is it opens up. Keon isn't a player that will likely get above 14 million, and every team in the league has a mid-level exception. So even if they're over the cap, but some teams that are over the aprons and second aprons, they get a modified or they lose their mid-level. But there would be a lot of teams that could throw down $14 million for Keon, and you have to decide, like, is that something you're willing to do? Because as of today, just point out like the weirdness that is the Kings roster. You have Zach LaVine at the 2. You don't have a natural point guard. You need a natural point guard. Everyone understands that. Scott Perry, first thing he says, we need a point guard. We need more length and athleticism. But here's the problem. You're already paying Malik Monk $18 million to come off the bench.
Yep.
are you going to add another bench player that potentially could make up to $14 million in Keon Ellis? And I know right away you're like, well, you can't give up on Keon, but it's like, okay, you still have to fill that point guard position, right? And so would you have a like $34 million backcourt off the bench? And that's tough. And especially,
really tough.
Let's add in that you have a $10 million backup center, $10.4 million backup center in Valanciunas.
And you don't even have a draft pick this year where you could go, okay, well, at least we can get a cheap, cost-controlled rookie to fill in spot XYZ.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a pretty, you'll have an early second, mid second round pick, may or may not make the roster. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But that's the only thing that you have to supplement as far as draft picks that are low cost for, the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
And I wouldn't doubt that the Kings hold on to their second round pick and just select somebody because they're going to need to fill roster spots. And so that's a big deal for them. We talked about it. You named all the players that are unrestricted free agents. Man, it's a lot. We're talking about like 7 or 8 players, right? And 6. Okay, so
if we're not counting Keon, it's 6.
Yeah, so 6 players, and that means that you're, either an 8 or a 9-man roster right now. You have to fill those spots.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to fill the final 2 until, sometime during the season, but you at least have to have 13 or 14 players. And so it's not going to be easy to sort of massage the numbers when it comes to like the overall roster, just like regular roster players, right?
So just to put a bow on the Keon thing, I for lack of a better word, the right way to do this would be pick up the option and be ready to negotiate a contract extension now.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the best of all possible worlds for the Kings would be to pick up the option, but already have a deal worked out for a long-term extension.
Right.
Right. And you can even have like a signing bonus so he gets a bump in money this year or whatever. That's part of the bigger contract.
Yeah, because you need to incentivize it a little bit to re-sign here.
Yeah,
because you're basically paying him to not explore the market.
Exactly. And that's the real fear if you make him if you pick up his option and you don't have a deal worked out, sure, you can sign him to an extension, but your leverage is gone. Right. As of right now, you have some leverage. And once you pick up that extension, once you pick up the $2.3 million option, it really does take away your power. And he can say, yeah, I'll listen, but I might want to listen to other teams. And we don't know what this season's going to look like for the Kings. It could be a good season. It could be a bad season. And he could be like, okay, not only is this not fun, but all of a sudden I'm buried on the depth chart behind, not just, again,
Malik Monk, Zach LaVine.
And then there's always a Devin Carter situation, all that. Like, you don't want to get buried on the depth chart, but, you're looking at your long-term trajectory as a player, and, California taxes are high. There's a lot of advantages to going to some of the other places in the league. And that's something that I think the Kings are going to have to manage. Like, opportunity is great, but I think, there are a lot of teams around the league that have an elite point guard that would love to have a defensive-minded shooting guard to put next to him.
The Hawks.
Look at Dyson Daniels, what Dyson Daniels has meant to that team. But there are other teams out there that have this void next to him. And it's like, hey, if we could get a star level defender, that would really help us. And so I don't know what he's going to get. I
almost feel like, because this isn't that it's a weird spot because it's not a rebuild necessarily. That Scott Perry might decide that he might say, hey, we need to tear this thing down to the studs as best we can. But I don't think they want to necessarily do that. I don't think Vivek wants to go through that necessarily.
Yeah.
I almost feel like the right thing to do here is decline Keon's option, let him explore the market, and let that dictate your contract for him.
No, I would agree.
If Because like you said, you pick up the option. Okay, now you've lost all your leverage for an extension. I would just get that out of the way now. Be like, hey, while we're here, while we're in the midst of resetting, let's figure out what we have with Keon or not. Because the worst case scenario is you go, okay, great. We pick up his option. Keon becomes this huge part of the rotation. Oh, but he's going to get a starting opportunity elsewhere, and he's going to get paid big money, and he's gone next year. And all of a sudden, this key piece of your rotation now needs to be replaced.
Yep. Well, that, and I mean, there are all kinds of fears here. Like, you're not a team that has a ton of extra talent to lose, right?
Yes, right.
But there's also, again, do you want to pay him $14 million a year? I think we can read a lot into one thing that's happened, and that is that the Kings sent Keon Ellis to the NBA draft lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it doesn't matter that he didn't bring home, the pick.
Yes, cut him.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the fact that he was there as your representation probably means that they've already gotten, pretty far down the road with the contract.
Yeah, you'd hope so. It'd be kind of nuts to send a guy who wouldn't be on the team this year. Like, yeah, hey,
yeah, weird.
Yeah, we're gonna or beyond, I guess.
Is it that crazy for this organization, though? Is it really that crazy? Is that something they would do? Would you be that surprised? No.
Well, yeah, but
right.
I would,
because good point by Joe.
Because Scott Perry is the one who was part of that decision.
It's true. It's new now.
Right?
It's different.
Yeah, and that is kind of Scott Perry saying, "Hey, this is one of our guys." Right?
Yeah,
in the same way that Joe Dumars sending Zion Williamson was like, "Hey, Zion, we're not trading Zion."
Right. I do think that with Keon specifically and his skill set, and then when you watch the playoffs this year, think of all the dudes on the Kings roster. This is the guy you should be not dramatically overpaying him, not paying him $20 million a year or anything crazy like that. But this is a guy you'd probably want to keep around. If you're building this team that is tenacious, that shares the ball, that's good defensively, that does all these things, it feels to me like Keon is that.
Exactly.
Like, that's just kind of the perfect player for what, and whether you think Keon is a starting caliber 2 guard or not, that matters less to me than that's a dude you just want to keep in your program and keep in your building.
Yeah.
He's done everything right since signing as an undrafted free agent.
Well, that, and I also want to point out, like, I see someone in the chat say, Keon's not getting $14 million. That's from Secure Bagley. You have to understand that the way that the NBA salary cap is ballooning right now, that like a $14 million contract is like 8% of the salary cap. It's 14 million today is not what 14 million, 3 years ago was.
Yes, correct.
So that's what you have to look at. It's like he might not get that money, but
I want to go.
Herb Jones got that money.
Herb Jones makes 14 mil.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a bargain for Herb Jones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see where average annual value. I'm going to go find some $14 million a year players. So many players make more than $20 million.
Yeah.
Spotrac doesn't even go down that far. Lou Dort makes 16 and a half a year right now on a deal he signed in 2022.
Yeah.
I don't think 14 million a year would be crazy for.
I don't, and the reason why we're bringing up the $14 million a year number is because it's the mid-level exception.
Right.
Yeah. You would hope that you might be able to get Keon on a 4-year 40 or 4-year 48.
Okay, here's some Max Strus. I just went to guards.
Okay.
Makes 15 and a half a year. Jordan Clarkson makes 14.1. Josh Green makes 13.6. Austin Reeves makes 13.4. Cole Anthony, 13 million. Dennis Schroeder, 12.7. Moses Moody, 12.5. Kobe White, 12. Kobe White's a free agent this year. Is that right?
Yeah. Oh no, he's
a
free agent. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you get like, yeah, man. Is Keon Ellis in the Isaiah Joe? Isaiah Joe makes 12. Everybody else I'm about to say makes less than that. Dante DiVincenzo, Cade Cunningham, although he's still on his rookie contract.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell.
These are all players that got either part of
Matisse Thybulle makes $11 million a year.
Yeah, they're players that got part of the mid-level exception.
Yeah.
or all of the mid-level exception, just not in this year. And the mid-level keeps going up, and it keeps going up because the salary cap keeps going up. It's a percentage of the cap.
Yeah. I think Keon's going to get a nice little chunk of money, but I don't think it's going to be anything obscene.
Yeah.